India has many things that goes in its favor. Also, the transformative government initiatives such as the public digital infrastructure, the PM Gati Shakti, the PLI incentive schemes, the Startup India, reduction in corporate taxes, and many of these initiatives are helping India sustain the fantastic economic momentum that we have among the G20 countries. But at the same time, India and all of us here are super committed to equitable growth, particularly in the global south, committed to sustainability and climate action, committed to innovation, and therefore India's growth journey will shape the world's future. So all of these thoughts that I talked about went into the actions that we wanted to take during the B20 India's leadership. When we took over the presidency from Indonesia in November last year, we aimed to build on the great work done by them and also to create new pathways for finding solutions to some of the world's pressing problems. At the start of our presidency, after a lot of collaborative discussions, we came up with the slogan, RAISE, which is being responsible, accelerated, innovative, sustainable, and equitable growth for all businesses among G20 and outside G20 nations. Through a consultative process, we engaged stakeholders across the world and came up with 9 themes, and we formed them as 7 task forces and 2 action councils. The task forces worked on the themes of global economic recovery, inclusive global value chains for resilient trade and investment, financial inclusion for economic empowerment, digital transformation, collaborative work in technology, innovation and research, and future of work that is required in terms of skilling and mobility, and finally, energy, climate change, and resource efficiency. The 2 action councils worked on embedding ESG in every business, and the second one on integrating Africa's economic development with the global economy. Since we started this work in January in right earnest, we have had about 110 policy advocacy sessions and initiatives across 29 locations in India and abroad. Today, I am delighted to say that we have a very strong set of recommendations. In total, 54 recommendations across these 9 themes, and each of those recommendations have got policy actions, multiple policy actions, numbering 172. These 54 recommendations and 172 policy actions have come out of the consensus that has been achieved across over 1,400 participants who have actively engaged to work with the task forces, action councils, and through the International Advisory Caucus. We have received enormous support, feedback, pushbacks, and engagement to get a set of recommendations which are sharp and which can make an impact. While each of the chairs of the task forces and action councils have led from the front and they will have the opportunity to share directly the work that has been done and the recommendations out of their task forces. I thought I will call out a few important recommendations, more the themes of the recommendations, and then the follow-ups that we want to do going forward. The first that came across as a theme across all the 9 aspects is the concept of inclusion. It resonated across the board. So our recommendations request the G20 to prioritize inclusion relating to least developed economies, global value chains, access to finance, and access to digital literacy. We have incorporated the priority of gender development in all our task forces and action councils. We want to make sure that we measure the progress of women in all dimensions, whether it is in entrepreneurship, whether it is in skill development, whether it is in investment, trade, across every dimension. We want to see notable progress on gender diversity. The second, we have advocated strongly for financing for global recovery and for climate transition. The SDG financing is assuming a central role and needs a coordinated global response. We also have specific callouts for promoting the growth of MSMEs across all nations by providing them the necessary financial support and all other policy support that is required so that the MSME growth will become fundamental to drive the global economy. Third is about skill development and global capacity building on workforce mobility in order to address the needs of a digital future and new technologies that will be required for energy transition and Industry 4.0 overall. Fourth, the G20 will accord, we have requested G20 to accord higher priority to the needs of Global South in all our deliberations, particularly in financial support. The B20 agenda explored the global value chain resilience and how to bring in least developed economies, MSMEs, women, and youth in the global trading arena. And the sixth, we have also advocated for harmonization of frameworks for ESG, standards in the measurements of climate change, and skills that are required to be uniformly available across the globe by facilitating knowledge sharing, by facilitating movement of mobility, cross-border exchanges.
All right, that's a view coming in from N. Chandra talking about the overall tech landscape.